All right, good afternoon. Looks like we are streaming. Today is going to be the next leg of the Utah Alphabet Challenge. This is a series of flights to airports or towns in the state of Utah, A through Z, as many as you can get. We have a couple letters missing, and then 0 through 9. I've been flying these for the past month or two. Today is N to O, Nephi to Ogden. Interesting route. A little different than what we would normally do because we're going to be transitioning the Bravo airspace in PilotEdge. If you're not familiar with PilotEdge, it provides real-world quality air traffic control services for simulators, both enthusiasts as well as real-world pilots. I've used it for both. Today's route, Nephi, if you want to orient yourselves in the greater universe. Here's where we are in America and Utah. If we zoom in, Nephi, a little bit south-central, north-south-central, south-north-central, north-central part of the state, right off the highway. We flew in here the other day in the Cirrus in the sim, and we're still in the Cirrus in the sim. Basically, we're going to stay along the I-15 highway up to Spanish Fork, over Provo and Orem. We'll go over the Provo Bravo. We'll be at 7,500 feet, and it tops out at 7,000, as you can see right there. The point of the mountain. Before we get here, where we start to get near to the Bravo Shelf, we will call the Salt Lake City approach. We'll actually pick Salt Lake City up right off of Nephi, in fact. We'll call them as soon as we depart. Get radar services, so they're tracking us. And then they will hopefully give us approval to enter the Bravo airspace. And then the VFR transition here, basically, on the chart, you can see these magenta arrows. They show you VFR transitions. We basically fly along I-15. You can see there's a variety of transitions for east-west transit here over the Salt Lake City Airport. And then up along the bench in Bountiful, continuing north, and then through the Hill Air Force Base, Delta, controlled airspace, 7,500 feet, 10,005 on this side. We will be, looks like it says 78 there on the chart. Yeah, it says 78. I just couldn't see very well. But we've got the Bravo on top of that. So as long as we're talking to air traffic control, we can go into the Delta. And then kind of a quick hitch, and then we'll figure out what the pattern entry is into Ogden, and we'll make our landing. In the real world, air traffic control would watch you and control this very, very carefully because there's so much military traffic. And then depending on Salt Lake arrivals, if they're landing south, you've got, as you can see the jets here, you've got commercial traffic coming in on the approach path for the down, well, doesn't matter which way they're landing. If they're landing north, this is approach traffic that comes in here and makes a downwind turn and then lands. If they're departing north, then you have aircraft climbing out, and then this is really the approach vector coming into Salt Lake for traffic, either directly landing north or coming in to make the downwind turn to land south. So they really want you out of this section, which is why you can see all these blue squares here. If you don't know how to read the charts, these show you the bottom and top shelves of the Bravo airspace. Different airspaces in the United States have different terminology based depending on what level of radar control they have for pilots. Bravo is the most restrictive. Unless you're on an instrument-rated flight plan, you are not allowed to fly on a Bravo unless you are approved to do so by air traffic control, which is why we need to make the request. But it is hard for people to get north and south of Salt Lake City because either you have to go all the way around into the desert or you have to fly over these mountains that are 11,000 feet. So the fact of the matter is VFR transitions are pretty common through this airspace. The arrival route here is far enough away from the highway route here that you're not really conflicted if you are doing what air traffic control tells you to do. So our plan is going to take off from Nephi, start our climb. We'll get services. We'll make our request. We'll let them know as soon as we tune in we're close enough that we're going to request the Bravo transition northbound to Ogden. They'll then know what we're going to do. They may give us vectors, they may tell us to do something, but probably we'll just tell them we're going to stay along the mountains and then follow the transition route. But we'll see. They might deny it. Who knows? Depends on what happens and who we get. One wrinkle is weather. So the real world is showing these thunderstorm cells. I don't know if we're going to have them or not. We'll see what's going on. That might change our plan. If we do have them, we'll adjust just like we would in the real world and either go around or land early or figure out if we can scoot on the mountainside, maybe go up the Provo Canyon here to Heber and then come over to Ogden from the backside, which is possible. Lots of different ways to get there. But we'll see what we've got in the sim and how it's representing that weather. A couple of other changes and improvements here on the glide slope today that I would like to talk about. One is, doesn't mean much to you guys, but it means something to me. I finally found some decent label paper to print the placards for the sim. The old ones didn't look great and they were peeling off, and I found some nice label printer paper, and so I've got my placards up. These are, I've basically replicated the placards that are in the Cirrus. That's number one. Number two, I've added the roads plugin, the X-Roads plugin for X-Plane, which makes all the roads transparent in the ortho scenery. So now when we fly, we won't see the roads that the simulator creates. We'll just see the cars driving on the roads that the orthographic satellite scenery creates. I had that when I was flying in the sim 5 years ago, and it really looks nice. So it plays well with map enhancement, which is our source of ortho scenery here today. So our visuals as we make the solid transition should be better. And then finally, I figured out how to get the left-hand view. So we've had a couple of views here for a while. We've had the forward camera view, which we're looking at now. We've had the personal flight display view. It's not on at the moment. We've had the MFD, which is not on the moment. And then we had the right-hand view looking out this window. I realized this morning that I've got an extra camera capture card. And so I just ran an HDMI out from the slave PC into the capture card and ran it into the master PC, so now we can look out the left window. So now we can look around, which is great, because a lot I've been going, hey, there's something really cool over here. It's too bad you guys can't see it. All right, so I'm just checking the stream. The stream looks like it's working pretty good. Let me check one more thing here. We're going to tell them we're going to Oscar Golf Delta, 7,500 feet en route, and we know our call sign. We don't need to write that down. Okay, so let's get her fired up, and we will. Hello, G-Man-Fly. Thank you for tuning in. This should be a good one. It'll take us a second to get started here, but then it's only about 30 minutes, and things will happen fast with that VFR transition. We'll go quickly from asking for approval to doing it, and probably switching over to the tower frequency as we get closer to Salt Lake, etc., etc., etc. Normal start, external power is disconnected, brakes are on hold, batteries 1 and 2 are on, bus voltages will check when they come up, circuit breakers are checked, strobe lights on, nav lights on, mixture full rich, power lever 4 forward, fuel pump prime for about 6 seconds. While I'm at it, I'm going to make sure that we're on the left tank. Give you the MFD view. Okay, prime. We've got positive fuel flow. Boop. Boost. Boop. Did I say boost? Boop. Clear prop. Oh, I'm not running Air Manager. So if you're going to build a home cockpit, one of the applications you're probably going to want to use is called Air Manager. Sorry about that. And it allows you to have custom panels, but it also allows you to do wiring of custom controls, which is how I run my flaps handle, as well as some other things in the sim, including the so I don't know if you see that. You can't, but the green flaps light just came up. But also my magnetos in ignition, which are not running for some reason. I hope I didn't disconnect a wire. That is possible. Interesting. What to do? I rotated this today a little firm to make sure it was screwed in tight, and I'm wondering if I disconnected the wires that run the magnetos. So we're going to do something different because I don't want to reach back there and crawl around. We're going to very quickly go to joystick, and we're going to assign one of these other buttons to start the thing. Oh, quadrant. We'll make this start. I didn't expect that to happen, so my apologies. Magnetos. Let's see here, start. So I might as well show you what I'm doing over here. So you can assign different, in essence, different commands to different buttons. So I'm going to assign this button here on my throttle quadrant, engage starters. And then I'm going to assign the one below it, magnetos, to both, which is where we'd want the mags to be set. And that should allow us to crank. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Come on, baby. Come on, you want to. Oh. It's so finicky. There. And then I had to quickly switch the magnetos to both, so the mags weren't off. So that's how we hacked my keys. And now I've got a project. I can go find out why that isn't working. It is always something. Sorry about that. Thanks for your patience. Okay. Power level 1000. Oil pressure looks good. Oil temperature looks good. Make sure, keep it where it is. Alternators 1 and 2. Avionics are on. Engine instruments we'll keep an eye on. We'll check our ammeter. Now before we taxi, we'll do our programming. So, first of all, I want the map. I don't need the topo. So, U14, and then let's put in our waypoints. KSPK. Spanish Fork. And then, point of the mountain, which is VP PTM. And then VP HVE. VP means visual reporting point, and that one is Hive in essence. Then VP SLC. And then VP NSL, North Salt Lake. Then VP CBI. Then VP LGN, which is Lagoon, an amusement park. Then VP WBR, which is Weber. And then VP MDH, which is the hospital in Ogden. And then KOGD. Now we may hand fly the whole way, but it's good to have the route in there in case at some point to reduce load we want to have autopilot fly the airplane. So there's nothing wrong with that. All right, so our flight plan is in. Come on, baby. Give me my, it's not giving me my nav screen, which is interesting. There we go. Then usually you want to zoom out to look at the whole route, make sure it's accurate. It takes a second here because X-Plane will need to load the larger chart, which it's doing. So while that's happening, we'll go over and we'll get our weather, and we will be ready to make our CTAF calls, and we'll also look up the frequency for Salt Lake City. If you use ForeFlight or if you go to SkyVector, you can look up all the information for a particular airport. You can also have access to online to the AFD, which is the flyway, basically the flight directory. I'm using ForeFlight here, and I can look and see that in the chart supplement for Nephi, there's an R, Salt Lake Center, tells me what the controlling center is over the top of us, and its approach, and it's 127.825. So I'm going to write that down. 127.825. That's who we're going to go to as soon as we're done taking off and done talking to the local traffic on the CTAF. The Unicom frequency here is 123.075. And our weather, because they're broadcasting weather at Nephi, is 118.275. Not quite sure why I've got this. There we go. So, a couple of things we're going to do. We are going to put in, we've got two radios here. So in Comp 1, the top radio, we're going to put in our CTAF and the Salt Lake Center, because that's what we're going to talk to first and second. So 123.075, and we'll swap that over. And then our standby, we're going to put 127.825. Okay, so we've got center on standby. We've got our CTAF on our number 1. And on our second radio, we're going to put in the weather, which was 118.275. Oops, I put it on my number 1. Operator error. Salt Lake City 127.825. Okay, and then you need to push the button to swap to the other frequency. And then on the other frequency, we're going to have 1182.7. 1182. Now we should get the weather, but I'm not seeing any weather. Also, my push-to-talk switch isn't working again, which is frustrating. There we go, now it's working. It seems to be that this yoke is dormant for too long, it doesn't work. All right, so this Nephi doesn't have the weather in it. It's a question of how the person who designed this airport in X-Plane designed it. Did they include the weather frequencies or not? It's looking like this one doesn't have it. Or when it was designed, Nephi didn't have weather. But the weather is 118.275, and we're listening to that, and we're not getting anything on it. So we're going to go ahead and just check and see online here what the weather is. And it looks like wind is 100 at 6. Hello, Sierra Bravo Whiskey. Thank you. Yes, it is a great setup. It's taken a lot of hard work, but it's a lot of fun, and it works usually right. Hello, Robert. Thanks for checking in. I hope you stick around for the flight. It should be fun. 100 at 6. Our runways here are 17 and 35, so we'll just depart. We'll just depart on 17. Let's see, 100. Yeah. So we'll depart on 17 and make the turn. 17's our best runway, and it's left traffic, so we're going to make left-hand turns coming out of here, which is fine. That takes us to the mountains, which is where we want to go. And we can check and see the barometer, because you want to make sure your altitude is reading correctly. It's telling us that the barometer is 3011. We can also check the altitude of the airport on the chart, which is listed at 5,022 feet. And we want to have our altitude in this, say, about 5,022 feet, which is about there, which is 3018. What did I say they were reporting? 3011. So the weather in the sim is a little different than what the weather is real world, but that's okay. Sometimes the downloads are delayed. And you can see also here on the MFD or the PFD, our synthetic vision, we can see the mountains in front of us. You can see obstacles as well on there. And you can see that our parking brake is on. All right, we also would want to be squawking on our transponder, which is a radio that broadcasts a beacon to air traffic control so they know where we are. Our VFR frequency, which is 1200. If you look at the PFD, you can see this down here at the bottom. It says XPDR right down here. And we want to also squawk altitude, which then tells the air traffic control center what altitude we're at. They can see our altitude on their screen. And if we're going to go into a Bravo, we're going to need to be squawking altitude anyway, so we've gone ahead and taken care of that. So we've got our flight plan programmed. We've got our transponder set. We're going to bug our heading bug for our departure frequency, which is 17. Helps us visualize the pattern that we are in case we need to come back to the runway or something strange happens. So 170, fine. We can zoom in a little bit more. And back to our checklist. So radio programming is done. Lights is required. We'll turn our landing light on our run up. Flaps are up at 0. They're good. Ammeter voltages look fine. We've got our system, our nav system set. We've got the weather. Cabin heat defrost is required. I could use a little more fan. It's a little warm in here. And we're going to get ready for taxi. Now what we do is we make a call on the CTAF frequency and let people know who we are and where we're going. And let's just confirm that 123075 it is. We're broadcasting on that frequency, and our push-to-talk switch is working. Nephi traffic, Sirius 15 Juliet Golf is at the GA ramp. We're going to be taxiing for a departure on 17. We'll be making a downwind departure to the north Nephi. All right, we've told people who we are, where we're going. Now we can taxi. Parking brake off. And one of the things that we'll be looking for in taxi here is that everything moves on the PFD correctly. And down here on my standby instruments, I'll be looking to make sure the horizontal situation indicator is moving correctly the way we would want it to. Everything seems to be normal. We're going to have to back taxi here. There should be a taxiway down here, so we can go down a little farther. But it looks like maybe the runway, the taxiway ends. It's not in there, so we'll taxi here. I'll go in and update this airport at some point. Oh, that's taxiway Alpha. We've got a taxiway down here that we can use. Right. When I make airports in X-Plane, I hand place all the taxiway lights. So if I did this one, I did it before I started doing that. It also needs to be updated because you can see they put a taxiway here now that's in the ortho scenery, but it's not in the airport in X-plane. And then again, exciting, now we have a left view. I figured out how to get the other PC to stream into OBS, so now we've got right and left views. Maybe you don't think that's exciting, but I think that's exciting. Taxiing like a drunk sailor here, which means you're going too fast. So those will be two things we'll be looking at in this flight. We'll be looking at the X-Roads scenery mod, which has eliminated made transparent the road what would I call them? The road objects in X-plane, so that we only see the ortho scenery roads showing through, which is cool. Makes it look more realistic. And then also we'll be looking at that left window. I'm running the Apple Maps with map enhancement. Everything down here is very beige. They must have done this when it was winter. Okay, there's nobody behind us, so we've got time here to do a run-up, which we will. I can't check the mags, but we'll check everything else. Okay, cab's handle is uncovered, safety pin is out, seatbelts are strapped, cabin heat set as we want it. Flight controls free and correct. Great. Fuel quantity, we have gas, fuel pump to boost, fuel selector follows tank. We just switched over. Autopilot check modes. We can bug to nav mode, turn on the autopilot, and then we would turn our heading bug and watch the yoke move. Then we'd disco it, and then we'd bug it, we'd move it the other way. We'd watch the yoke move, and then we'd disco that. And then we'd feel pretty comfortable that our autopilot was driving the servos the way we wanted it to. Then we would reset our heading bug. Might as well not do the heading bug until after that part of the flow. PMD, MFD avionics are all set. Brakes are on hold, mixture full rich. Power lever 1700. We won't check the mags because my key isn't working. At least I don't think it's working. Oh, now it's working. Huh, all right, our keys are working. Yay. All right, well then we'll check. All right, it has a decline, that's fine. Back to normal. Left has a decline. Back to normal, they're within 150 of each other, which is fine. Back to both. Put on the pitot heat, the ice light, the landing light. Check our electrical. Yeah, we're drawing and we're charging. That's fine. Pitot heat, ice, and come off. Landing light stays on. We have no annunciator lights across the top of the board. Bus voltages are normal. Pitot heat, we don't need lights. Magnetos, left, right, we've done that. Engine instruments all look good. We can throttle back. Check the circuit breakers one more time. Make sure nothing has been punched. Okay, this is a rolling takeoff. We're departing on runway 17. We'll be doing a downwind left-hand departure to the north. We'll be calling on CTAF along the way. Our runway length is 6,300 feet. We want to be at 50% of VX by the time we're midfield, where we will abort takeoff. We can use caps at 500 feet. We will go VX for rotation and then VY. Okay, let's make our call. E5 traffic, Cirrus 150 Golf, holding short 17. We're now departing to the south, downwind departure. We'll be taking off south, downwind departure to the north, E5. Again, not the most elegant call. Oh, that's okay. Life is full of confusing things. I can't even say that. All right, there we go. Nobody coming down range. Nobody on the other side. Flaps 50. I'm heavy on the throttle today. Good Lord. Okay, final controls free and correct. Flaps are set. Things are green, full power. All right, react. RPMs as expected. Engine instruments are on the green. We're on the center line. Airspeed's alive. We're more than 50% of takeoff speed before half the runway. VX, rotation. Oh, we'll fly in ground effect until we get to VY. And now we'll pitch for VY. Why do you want best climb as soon as possible? To get you to CAPS altitude if you need to pull the chute. Alright, we're out of runway, flaps coming up. Nephi traffic, Sirius 15 Juliet Golf, turning downwind. Turning off the crosswind leg off departure. Turning downwind for departure to the north, Nephi. Okay, 500 feet, CAPS available. Altitude, we can bug it to 7,500 feet. That's what we'll probably make the Bravo transition at. And we'll just follow I-15, the highway, on our way. Nephi traffic 15 Juliet Golf, 6,400 on the downwind leg, departing to the north, final call Nephi. Okay. 1,000 feet to go on our climb. Switch over.
132 Papa Foxtrot, squawk 5045, maintain VFR.
Alright, we'll squawk 5045, I'll maintain VFR. 132 Papa Fox.
Salt Lake approach, Sirius 15 Juliet Golf, VFR request. Don't know if you heard me. Try it again in a minute. There's our right view, and now the new fancy left view. Try it again. Oh no, it's not working again. Such a bummer. Let's try a big yoke input and see if that gets it. There's 7,500 feet. Throttle back a little bit. My throttle handle pulls the throttle forward.
November 132 Foxtrot to altitude.
Now it's working. Let's see if I can get him.
132 Fox, 7,700.
Salt Lake approach, Sirius 15 Juliet Golf, VFR request.
Number 15 Juliet Golf, Salt Lake City approach, standby.
That we will.
November 132 Papa Foxtrot, take position.
I 132 Papa Fox, 16 miles southwest of Romeo 49. I apologize, correction, it's 6,700, not 7,700.
I'll look at the chat in a second, guys. 132 Papa Foxtrot, roger. At that altitude, I won't be able to see you for like the next 30 miles or so. You want to climb to probably like 8,500, I might be able to see you.
Just gives me a chance for me to fix my altitude before I talk to him.
We're 2 Papa Foxtrot, roger. Report reaching.
We've got a missing tile up here in the ortho
right? A
couple of them actually.
2998.
Alright, Altimeter 2998, I'll maintain VFR and I'll let know when I'm at 8,500, thank you.
We're 15 Juliet Golf, Salt Lake approach, go ahead.
Yeah, approach, we're 5 miles north of Uniform 14, 7,500. We'd like advisories to Oscar Golf Delta, that's Ogden, and request a VFR transition through the Salt Lake Bravo.
We're 15 Juliet Golf, make your request with approach on 128.1.
Wilco, thanks much. Okay, we're going over 128.1. Salt Lake approach, Cirrus 15 Juliet Golf.
For 15 Juliet Golf, Salt Lake approach.
Yeah, we're 10 miles north of Nephi, Uniform 14, like advisories to Oscar Golf Delta and a VFR transition to Salt Lake Bravo at 7,500.
For 15 Juliet Golf, Roger, state time Cirrus, squawk 4276.
Yeah, SR22 and 4276, 15 Juliet Golf. Okay, so I've entered the code he gave me, and now he knows who I am and has assigned a code to me.
On 15 Juliet Golf, radar contact, 19 miles south Provo, maintain VFR, Salt Lake altimeter 3008.
VFR 08, 15 Juliet Golf. Okay. So things are happening a little fast, but that's okay. That's what we want to do. We want to get practice managing and staying ahead of the airplane. Left view is looking...
15 Juliet Golf, where do you plan to transition to Bravo?
We'd like to take the I-15 transition up and then along the mountain road through Ogden.
Where 15 Juliet Golf, Roger. Clear to the Salt Lake City class Bravo airspace, maintain VFR 7,500 in Bravo.
All right, maintain 7,500 in the Bravo. We're cleared in. Thanks, 15 Juliet Golf. All right, that's taken care of. Give us a chance to practice a little altitude discipline. Landing light can come on.
Number 132 Papa Foxtrot, ident.
I keep getting a hazard alert on this because it sees the train over here. It thinks I'm too close to it. This is the highway here. We're just going to follow that up. He doesn't know our route, so it doesn't really matter. Like, we can fly any way we want to fly to get there. I'm going to stay this side, so I'm out of the arrivals going to Salt Lake City. That's just the safe thing to do. Also, we don't have to pull the chute over a over a lake.
Northwest of Spokane. Maintain VFR.
All right, let's see what's going on in the chat.
2 Papa Foxtrot, stay altitude for me one more time.
We have climbed a little bit. Let's get down to our altitude. And in fact, now that we're talking to these guys, we should use the autopilot because they're going to expect you to be doing and saying what you're going to do. So we can hit nav and we can hit vertical speed to take us down a couple hundred feet a minute. And then autopilot. And I need to go direct to, what's my next reporting point? Spanish Fork. Yeah, so it's got us going there. That's good. I can see that across the top. What do I want to do here? I think I want to go into Spanish. Now we're direct to Spanish Fork. Now it'll get us right on our exact route. Still getting familiar with the buttonology in this. It's been a while. Okay, so we're holding 7,500, which is right where we should be. We've got our route planned. We're letting auto fly the airplane. We can check our cruise checklist. We can check the chat. We can get a sip of limoncello LaCroix. On the glide slope is not sponsored by LaCroix, but it should be. Okay, let's see how our new transparent roads look. They look good. Not seeing the X-plane roads makes that look a lot more realistic, and I don't know if you can see, but the cars are still on the roads. And SimHaven's doing a good job of loading in objects. We're holding a decent 30 frames, which is what we want. And if we want to look out the left window, that's Utah Lake. LaCroix, yeah. Hold on one second.
November 2, Papa Foxtrot, change to my frequency on 132.6.
I hear somebody pounding. Sounds like a child. Children can pound sometimes. Okay, cruise. We're gonna make sure the fuel pump is off. Coming up right now to Spanish Fork. The airport's right in front of us. We'll then make a turn. We'll come up along this edge of the Wasatch Front.
November 2, Papa Foxtrot, you're still on the 126.1. Looks like try to make sure you switch over.
And since we're talking to air traffic control, we can blow right through this delta. The Provo Delta. We don't need to worry about it. Otherwise, you need to be talking to them before you go in. And if we were in like Los Angeles airspace, they would probably pass us to the Provo Tower. You can see Provo Airport right here. If you ever fly the mini route, you know, on PilotEdge through the LA airspace, which is a blast, like you should do it. It's like you're going like Long Beach to Hawthorne to LAX to Santa Monica to it's like one tower after the next. It's a lot of fun. Next plane's looking pretty good. All right, let's see if I mixed anything on the cruise checklist. I don't think I did. Yep, we can lean the engine now. We'll turn on our lean assist button, do our leaning procedure, bring back the mixture until go full throttle, which is what we'd want at this altitude. Our density altitude is 9,500 feet. So we need all the juice we can get. Then we'll lean till we're 60 or so degrees lean of peak engine exhaust gas temperature, EGT. They're still going up. I'm just slightly moving the mixture knob, making it richer. The mixture is the ratio of air to gasoline. And your engine runs hotter with a higher ratio, and then when it's too high, it runs cool again. And it's kind of best for the longevity of the engine to run a little bit lean of that peak temperature. So we peaked at 1535, 1540, now we're back to like 1420. Just run a little bit cooler. Yeah, Sierra Bravo Whiskey says, as long as it's not a gremlin on your wing. That was such a great, what was that? It was, what's the name of that show? You know, with all the wild stories. It's been a while. That was, God, that came out when I was in high school. And then the show was on in the 50s. All right, we're queued up for the descent checklist. We don't need that for a minute. We can take a bit, we can look at the scenery. Provo Valley going by on that side, Brigham Young University. There's Provo Canyon going up. We flew up to Weber in the challenge and the Alphabet Challenge, and that's how we came back, was coming down through there. Then on the left side, Utah Lake and into the haze. Forest fires out here, so I'm not surprised. And keep looking out the front. Okay, and the synthetic vision's doing a great job. Golf course down there. Okay, let's see what's going on in the chat. Oh, we got quite a people talking today. Hi, Stan. Yes, the scenery's looking good. G-Man-Fly asks, do you think the cost of CAP's repack, 18 to 20 grand, is one of the reasons why pilots don't deploy? The thinking is they can recover the situation even if they can't. I'm sure it is for some people. I was a pretty active member of the Cirrus Pilots Association when I was flying, and I don't think, I mean, it's the only association I was part of, but I was struck by the seriousness that they attend to safety. You know, the story of the Cirrus is it was designed to be the safest airplane in the world for private pilots. Totally redundant systems. I mean, I got asked in a chat the other day, I've been able to reply like, you know, is it harder to fly? It's a little more slippery on landing, I think, but you just have to be on your numbers. Like if you're coming over threshold at 82 knots, the SR-20 and the SR-22 have the same speeds in the pattern. So, and I got more time in the 20 actually than the 22. But, you know, one of the reasons why you can't draw from both tanks like you can in a Cessna is if you happen to run out of fuel drawing on both tanks, you're screwed. But if you are forced to run on one tank over the other, you run out of gas, you got a reserve. So, you know, it's got 2 batteries, it's got 2 buses, it's got, you know, separated tanks. Like it's meant to, it's got a roll cage, like it's meant to be very, very safe. And yet accident statistics were higher in the first couple years of the SR series being out than the average GA aircraft. And one of the reasons the speculation was is that because pilots actually took risks, they did the exact opposite. They took risks that they shouldn't take because they thought that they were safer because of the chute. So they would fly themselves into trouble. So COPA, which is the Cirrus Owners and Pilots Association, is all about safety. Like it's safety first. And I've been to several COPA conventions, and like the safety programming is really, really great. And whether or not, to your question, people don't pull the chute because of the repack, I'm sure that's true for some people, but like everybody in COPA, like the idea is the chute's there for a reason, it's to save your life. With the exception, last time I checked the statistics, with the exception of I think only 2 deploys that were below 400 feet. There were no fatalities in CAPS pulls. The system is called CAPS, the parachute system. The Cirrus airframe parachute system. A rocket shoots out the top of the airplane, deploys a parachute. And, I mean, it's like 110 for 110 and saving lives. So my view is always, like, why would you ever try to land in a field? I mean, you know, you've got insurance. Like, you're not going to pay 20 grand. Like, pull the chute. The airplane probably is saved, but there are quite a few Cirruses that have been saved after a CAPS deployment. And, you know, walk away and fly another day. But I'm sure some people don't pull the chute because they think, God, that's a pain. And I know a lot of, like I've talked to more than one old school pilot that sort of sees it as an insult of their piloting to not be able to land a stricken airplane. And my view is always, no, it's an insult for me not to get home to my family. Right over here, there's a restricted area you can't fly into. It's on the charts. I'll see if I can show it to you real quick, since Otto's flying the airplane. Hold on a second. Here we go. So we're about right. Turn the radar off. We're about right here. This restricted area is the CIA's data center. It's the largest data center in the world, at least the one that anybody knows of. You can see it out the left window now that we have a left window view. It's just going under the wing now. No fly over a data center is not very nice. So there you go. A left-hand view. I'm not used to it. Okay, now we're going to come right up I-15. That's the VFR transition. That's where he's going to expect us to be. And that will keep us out of the arrivals and departures paths for Salt Lake. Twilight Zone. That's it. Yeah, well, that's right, the one with William Shatner. And then it was in the movie that came out in the 80s or 90s. It was, they did a reprise of it. Nice view. We're crossing into the Salt Lake Valley now. And that's Kennecott Copper Mine coming up on the left. And Salt Lake Valley in front of us. You can see I-15 running along here, and that's basically our VFR corridor. They'll stack altitudes for north and south. I mean, on PilotEdge, we don't have quite enough people doing it, but they'd have like north at 75 and south at 55. That's usually how these VFR transitions work, is they give you 2,000 feet of separation for the VFR traffic going one side or up the other. Oh, there's my mouse. Sorry about that. Okay, this is looking good. The light on the mountains over here is great. The way the clouds work in X-Plane now is really cool. You can see Antelope Island has light on it. The airport has light on it. But this stuff doesn't. I haven't heard him in a little while. I wonder if he's going to give us a transition here. Yeah, so Sierra Bravo Whiskey, do you live in Salt Lake or in Utah? He comments in the chats that glider's central there at the point of the mountain. Yeah, and hang gliders too. I know people go climb up to the top of that thing and hang glide off the top. When it's like Twilight Zone. Father-son flight simulator says his son did a glider discovery flight today. That's very cool. You know, if you can land that thing, that's what, you know, that's, I eventually was going to do that. There were two things that I was going to do. I was going to get a glider, at least take some glider classes, and I was going to get a tail wing endorsement, because they both make you better pilots. And I was about halfway to my commercial rating when I stopped flying. Nice view up, that's Little Cottonwood Canyon. You can see it's U-shaped. That's because a glacier carved it down to the bottom, and then right to the left of it coming up is Big Cottonwood Canyon. And it's V-shaped because the glaciers met each other and stopped each other, and the river cut the bottom part of the canyon. Snowbird and Alta are up the one on the right, and Brighton and Solitude are up the one on the left. Your tour guide. I'm going to check in with center. All right, Nate's going to be on Ogden Unicom doing pattern work. Great, can't wait. Salt Lake Center 15 Julie Golf, or approach.
Number 15 Julie Golf, Salt Lake approach.
All right, just making sure I still had you.
Confirm, it's just real quiet right now. Salt Lake altimeter 3008.
08, thanks. PilotEdge is an amazing service. I've been torn, you know, I've got a subscription. Simhaven is doing a great job of building the objects over here, by the way. That looks really good. I've been torn. I've got a Say Anything subscription, which is the virtual air traffic control that runs through right now ChatGPT 5. It's really great technology that they are using. As soon as I started getting involved in AI, I saw a use case for that. I'm glad somebody jumped on it. But I'm torn about using it because I'm so loyal to PilotEdge. PilotEdge, you know, I've talked to Keith about it. I think Keith wants those guys to succeed. He thinks what they're doing is cool, at least that's my sense from talking to him. My sense in using it is that it's not the same. Like, it's just not. It's just not. Like, I tried to fly the Bravo transition in Tampa. There's an east-west transition that takes you from the coast and takes you out to Lakeland, and, you know, the AI got it completely wrong. So I think if you're a hobbyist and, like, you don't want the pressure of being right, and you don't want the pressure of having to talk to people, and it's just for realism, I see a use for it that I think is really valuable. But if you're a real-world pilot, like, you want to use PilotEdge for sure. And if you want to use real-world procedures, then you want to use PilotEdge, at least so far, because the service provided by PilotEdge is just top-notch. I mean, it's just, you know, it's literally as good as you get in the real world. And in fact, I've had controllers on PilotEdge that were more stringent about what I was doing than controllers I would have in real-world airspace. All right, we're over the Hive, which is the mixing bowl. We take a little jog here, then we go down to Salt Lake City, and then why this little jog? They want to keep us away from this terrain right here. This is Salt Lake International right here. We'll get a view of it out the left window here in a minute. Downtown Salt Lake City, my Utes, unfortunately today, got their asses kicked up on the hill by Texas Tech. Not happy about that. Utes were looking good too, but boy, Texas Tech defense today was something else. Both defenses today were great, but Texas Tech looked for real. Let's see. Okay, so Nate's going to be up in Ogden on Unicom doing pattern work. That's great. Anybody else wants to join me up there? Log on to PilotEdge and load up to Ogden, and we'll fly. Ogden's going to be here fast. I think
5 Juliet Golf X. Solid approach 135.1. Correction 135.5.
All right, Salt Lake on 135.5 for 15 Juliet Golf. Salt Lake approach, CS 15 Juliet Golf, 7,500. We're right over Salt Lake on the VFR transition headed north to Ogden, 7,500.
We're 15 Juliet Golf, Salt Lake approach, Roger, altimeter 3008.
08, thanks. I always read back the altimeter. The altimeter is an important setting, like if you're off by 10 or 20, you know, it matters. And so it's not a required readback, but I always did it in the real world just because I wanted to. I said we'd take a look at Salt Lake International, and then I flew right over it because I was talking to air traffic control. Sorry about that. Them's the brakes. But yeah, for real world immersion, PilotEdge is the best. And I've never had an incident in PilotEdge where I felt like I was getting any level of service from their controllers that was a grade below what I would get in the real world. Looks like we have haze. I don't know if you can see that. Not surprising. There's a lot of forest fires out west. By attaching the camera card to this PC, the slave PC, it have the rates. I was capping them at 60 anyway, but it's got them running at 45 frames a second. I'll probably cap this at 30 so that it syncs better with the other visuals and looks better on the screen, not as stuttery. Great Salt Lake in front of us. Wasatch Range. Okay, we need to start thinking about Ogden. So Ogden's altitude is 4,400 feet. So we got to lose 3,000 feet. So we'll probably go down 1,000 feet per minute, 3 minutes. Once we have it, ATIS is 1255, this just told me, so we'll pick up the ATIS real quick.
More than 10 miles, sky clear, temperature 24, 2.7, altimeter 3007. Be advised, towering cumulus observed nearby. Advise on initial contact. You have information, Romeo.
Okay, we've got Romeo at Ogden.
Ogden information, Romeo, 2220 Zulu. Arriving runway 21. Departing runway 21.
21.
270 degrees, 5 knots. Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky clear. Temperature 24. 2.7. Altimeter 3007.
Okay, we've got runway 21. Lagoon is our next waypoint. That's an amusement park that's up here. That looks pretty good out the left window. Wow, that looks good. And towering cumulus reported nearby, but I don't see it in the sim. Okay, but we've got Romeo, so I can tell Salt Lake that we've got Romeo at Ogden. Salt Lake, Cirrus 15 Juliet Golf has Romeo for Ogden.
Uber 15 Juliet Golf, Roger. You can proceed direct to Ogden if you want. Send VFR at your discretion, and advise when you have Ogden Airport inside.
Okay, Wilco, we'll stay along the bench, stay out of Hill Air Force Base, but then I'll let you know when we've got the fuel tanks. Here's Hill Air Force Base right here. By going direct, we'd go right over the top of it. I would not do that in the real world, so I'm not going to do it here. So we'll stay on the flyway, and then once we're abeam hill, I'll tell them that we've got the airport. Ogden Airport is kind of right up in here. It's on a hill, and then once we're abeam hill, we'll be able to see it, and I'll tell them, and then we'll figure out how we're going to lose our altitude to come into Ogden. Ogden is, I can see Nate is in the pattern at Ogden, which is cool. Let's see if he shows up on this. Yeah, he's right there. If I look on the MFD. He's a bogey that's right on Ogden, right at the top of the screen. So, runway 21, we'll actually be making left traffic into 21, so once we're at Beam Hill, I'll take us down, and we'll get ready to come in and land on 21. Looking for the airport. And let's get our descent checklist ready to run. Things are happening fast here. I can't pay attention to the chat quite as much. So there's a lot of great chat going on here. I'm going to, once we land in Provo, or in Ogden, I'm going to respond to some of that stuff. Here's Hill coming up. And Ogden is, I'm going to turn off the VFR chart because it's too much shit. Ooh, sorry, didn't mean to curse with y'all. There we go, that's much cleaner. And the terrain avoidances are getting annoying. Okay, so Beam Hill is only 3 miles, so I've got the field now. It's right there, so I'll tell him. Salt Lake 15 Juliet Golf has Ogden.
Air 15 Juliet Golf, Roger, leaving Salt Lake City Class Bravo airspace, remain clear, squawk VFR, frequency approved.
Okay, we'll stay clear of the Bravo going to VFR. Thanks for your help today, 15 Juliet Golf. Okay, squawking VFR, descent checklist. Let's go ahead and call them now. Let's switch over to Ogden. Ogden is, I wrote it down, but I don't remember which one it is now. Ogden is, Ogden Tower is 118.7, the CTAF is 118.7. Okay, calm. Oh, let's switch the other radio. There we go. I'm gonna slow us down. Make sure full rich. Boost pump on. Ogden traffic, Sears 15 Juliet Golf is a beam. Hill Air Force Base on the east side. We're going to be making it for a left downwind at 2-1 Ogden. Okay, let's disco this. That's Ogden right there. Ogden's altitude is 4,400 feet, so our pattern altitude is going to be 54. Let's bug our altitude. I don't hear Nate in the pattern. I wonder if it's... Oh, it's right traffic. Ogden traffic, Sears 15 Juliet Golf, 5,900, 3 miles south west of the field. We're going to be navigating around to make the right traffic into 2-1 Ogden. Actually, let's cross. It's untowered right now, so we'll treat it as untowered. So I'm going to cross right over the field. I'm going to do it 1,500 feet above, so we'll do it at 6,000 feet, which is right where we are. He's probably on 122.95, which is what's on the chart. That's interesting, you gave me 118.7. Okay, let's get 122.95 in here. Ogden traffic, Sears 15 Juliet Golf, 6,000. We're crossing over the field east to west, and then we're making a teardrop entry for a right traffic into 2-1 Ogden.
Scott, 3868 Delta, Ogden traffic is in the pattern, making right turns. Just departed runway 21, Ogden traffic.
you know, we were set up for the right side for 2-1, and now I've crossed over to the left. So this is a big deal. This is a big problem, and it shows that I'm rusty. So no, I'm set up for right. See, and that's why I typically will map out the pattern on my kneeboard. Ogden traffic 15 Golf directly over the field heading west. We'll be making right into 2-1 Ogden. I have a tendency, and I've had it since I was a little kid, to get my rights and lefts mixed up. And more than once I've freaked out flight instructor because I've said right or when I've meant left. And
Ogden traffic.
right here, like I was just visualizing, I'm going to come over and then that's left, but in fact it's right. So we'll make a teardrop, come around this way, and then we'll be good to go. Using the pattern, which is cool. I can zoom in so you can see him here. We'll go to the traffic display. Okay, now we'll start coming down to pattern altitude, which is going to be 5,500 feet, 5,400 feet.
Ogden traffic, 3868 Delta, turning right downwind, runway 21 Ogden.
And I'm looking for him. And 15 Juliet Golf, we'll make our teardrop and come in behind the traffic.
Roger that, looking for traffic, Delta, Ogden traffic.
He's right here. Show you the MFD. Okay, we're coming down to our pattern altitude, which is going to be 5,400. And he's abeam us now. Let me see if I see him. I can't quite pick him up. All right. Okay, landing light is on. Make sure it's full ridge. Fuel pump is to boost. We're on fullest tank. And we're coming down to 5,400 feet. 113 knots, which is good. We want to be 100 knots in the pattern. Ogden traffic, Cirrus 15 Juliet Golf is coming off the teardrop, joining the right downwind for 2-1. We'll be behind the pattern traffic, Ogden. Now, you don't want to set up for that runway. You want to set up for this runway. That's one of the reasons it's good to have your heading bug set to your runway heading. We can get a little closer than this. Okay, 5,400 feet, 100 knots. On the PFD, you can see the bogey traffic.
Ogden traffic, 3868 Delta, turning right face, runway 21 Ogden.
Okay, we're at the right altitude. We're abeam our runway. I'm looking for him but not seeing him. Ogden traffic 15 Juliet Golf is on the downwind midfield for 2-1 Ogden. A little wide on the pattern. That's okay. I'm looking for him. I'm not seeing him. Okay, we're midships, or we're amid our touchdown point, first flaps.
Ogden traffic, Skyhawk 3868 Delta, turning final, runway 21, Ogden traffic.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ogden traffic 15 Juliet Golf, turning right base 2-1 Ogden. They have you flying right traffic to stay away from Ogden and Hill Air Force Base. Take a quick look out the right-hand window. There's our runway, going full flaps. Little power. Ogden traffic 15 Juliet Golf, turning final 2-1 Ogden. A little high, just 1 dot high. We've got 1 red, 3 white. We'll just take a little power out.
500.
Here we go. I don't know about these power lines right here. Pitch for 85 knots. We're a little off center. We'll just fly back to it. Nice and stable. 83 knots, right where we want to be. I can see him taxiing. I'm going to land a little short of the IFR markers.
Ogden traffic.
80 knots, right where we want to be.
Delta clear of runway 21 at Delta, taxiing to GA Alpha Ogden.
Got a squeak on that one. There he goes. I wonder why I got the wrong frequency off the flight. I wonder if I was looking at the wrong thing. I used to go to air shows up here. It was cool. You know it was a good air show if you're right next to Hill Air Force Base. No, I didn't hit my bracing goal. Ogden traffic 15 Juliet Golf is clear of 21 at Charlie, taxiing to the ramp. Ogden, you can see Nate. He's right there. All right, flaps up. Pump off, landing light off, manage, talk to ground, we're on the CTAF frequency, so we're good with that. We'll go over and park next to Nate. I'm gonna park right next to you, Nate.
Keeping your spot warm for you.
He's in this Cessna right in front of us that has the strobe working, the beacon working. Don't bump the airplanes, don't bump the airplanes, don't bump the airplanes, don't bump the airplanes. There he is. That was fun. All right. Let's shut her down. Strobe, nav, mixture. Right to left, and then we'll look at the chat. Park and brake. Got it. And the keys, which are now working. I think it just took a little while for Air Manager to kick in. I think that's all that was. Okay. So, before I get to the chat, let's do a quick debrief. That felt like real work. That felt like flying. Going through the Bravo, paying attention to altitude, you know, looking for the handoff, staying clear of Hills airspace, figuring out the pattern entry. You know, this is a towered airport in the real world. PilotEdge doesn't tower it, so you treat it like it's untowered. Let's find out why I got that wrong. If I click Ogden, it says Ogden Tower is 118.7, and it says the CTAF is 118.7, but then it says the Unicom is 122.95. I'll have to go check the AIM and see if I should follow the Unicom or the CTAF. It's got the CTAF, though, on the chart, and that's what I should have listened to. So, and I thought I'd screwed up the pattern entry, but I hadn't. I actually had gotten that just right. Again, for me, knowing that that's a weakness of mine is to mix up my right and my left. I gotta take the time ahead of time to write down on my knee pad what I expect the pattern entry to be. It helps me visualize it, make sure I don't make that mistake. Wow, a great chat going on here, and quite a few folks watching. Thanks for watching. If you're not a subscriber, please do. We talked about the Twilight Zone. We talked about gliders at Point of the Mountain. We talked about Nate going up here to do pattern work, which is amazing. We talked about father-son flight simulator uses beyond ATC. Thinks PilotEdge is much better. Beyond ATC seems to work best for major airports. Sometimes it's had no idea where it was, giving instructions out of context, but it's cheaper. You get what you pay for. That's for true. That's true. You do get what you pay for. We might get to the point where virtual, but here's an interesting point, and I hope people are still watching. I know some people have dropped off, but Sierra Bravo Whiskey raises an interesting point, which is the real and the virtual ATC might become indistinguishable. That's true, but Keith Smith makes a really good point, which is you probably feel no pressure talking to an AI, but you do feel pressure talking to a person. And mic fright is a real deal, and there's all kinds of pilots out there who don't get the radio work they should because they're afraid to talk on the radio. And the beautiful thing, me getting most of my, all of my instrument work here in Tampa is like you can't not talk on the radio. But you feel pressure talking to a real person on PilotEdge. I remember the very first time I keyed the mic in PilotEdge, I was like, holy crap. This is before I started flying in the real world. And you don't feel any pressure talking to an AI, so I think that's an important differentiator. There's no embarrassment if you make a mistake with the simulation, but there is embarrassment if you make a mistake with another person. Nate was letting me know 21 was the right pattern. He was helping me out. No mistakes, only happy accidents. There are also unhappy accidents, SBW. And you can always go around. All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Probably one more tomorrow. We'll see. Oh, I forgot to put the flaps up. Follow your checklist. There we go. The left view worked well, which was cool. And didn't seem to hurt my frames too much. If I've got the headroom, might as well use it. Make it so we can see more of what's going on. And tomorrow I'll try to do one more if I can get lucky. And if not, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.